12 years ago, I led a rally right here in Union Square against the rising Christian fascist assault on women's fundamental right to abortion. As I was rallying, I saw a woman who was just passing by stop and listen. She came close to the stage and I noticed that she was shaking. So I approached her and she spilled out a story that she has held in silence for 40 or 50 years. She told me of growing up in Biloxi, Mississippi. Her best friend at age 16 became pregnant. And this best friend was deeply religious. She was deeply ashamed, and she especially did not want to tell her father. Now, some of you are 16 here today, but if you're not, I want you to remember what it felt like to be 16. I want you to think of your best friend. I want you to remember the hopes you had for your future. And now I want you to think about the shame, the isolation, and the terror that would drive a 16-year-old to go rummage through her father's things, go find where he kept his gun, pull it out, point it at her head, and pull the trigger. This is what it means when abortion is illegal. This is a true story. And there are countless stories that are similar, and unfortunately, beautiful people here today, we don't have to look to history anymore. Women are dying today because of Donald Trump's fascist judges and overturning Roe v. Wade. Portia Gumezi, Gisele Barnica, Navia Crane, Candy Miller, Amber Thurman. These women have died because of Donald Trump's fascist overturning of Roe v. Wade. And look how fast this country has adjusted. How many people even know this is happening? And it is not just the deaths. It is the threat and the insult that hangs over the life and the dreams of every single woman, every single girl who is told by this fascist state that her life, her dreams, her ambitions, her futures count for nothing. She is nothing more than a baby-making machine. And these MAGA fascists are going for a national ban on abortion, and not just that, they're coming for birth control.
Illegitimate! Abortion ban! Illegitimate! Forced motherhood! Illegitimate!
We don't have 4 years. And if you've been paying attention, you already know that we have very, very few elected officials who are willing to stand up for the people and call this what it is, a fascist takeover. We the people cannot let that happen. Hope is in our hands. Our future is in our hands. The people in our government standing on the wrong side of history want to ban books like The Handmaid's Tale. They want history to be erased. They want future generations to be ignorant of the past. They want youth thinking less so they can be brainwashed more. Right now, Missouri lawmakers are working to create a registry to track pregnant women who they believe to be at risk for abortion. This is not a scenario out of The Handmaid's Tale. This is the reality that we're up against. The fascist Trump regime must go. We do not have time to wait.
This fascist shit has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. This fascist shit has got to go.
I'm here today as a daughter, a mother, a grandmother, a woman, and a physician. I know firsthand that not having access to reproductive and gender-affirming care kills. Not having access to vaccinations kills. Not having access to life-saving medications for mental health care kills. And whether it's dying from a septic pregnancy or dying from measles or from suicide or from poverty, our rights, our bodies, and our very lives are on the line. Make no mistake, this authoritarian dictatorship is fascist. This is not hyperbole. This is real. This is happening now. So what do? We can't wait for midterm elections. We can't wait till 2028. people will die while others sit back in denial or fear or ignorance. Change happens when we make our voices heard. Change happens when we show politicians and billionaire businesses that we refuse fascism. Rights need to be fought for. They are not freely given. Our rights are being taken away faster than 1930s Germany Nazis. We are running out of time. So what do? We refuse fascism. Trump must go! Trump must go! Trump must go! We won't go back!
We won't go back!
We won't submit!
We won't submit!
We will not take your fascist shit!
We will not take your fascist shit!
By academic training, I am a theologian and a former chaplain. A large part of my education was focused on the study of the Holocaust or the Shoah, and it is why I say with absolute confidence, we are staring down the barrel of full-blown fascism in this country. It is a present and an active threat. Without mobilization of the masses, you people who can hear us, who aren't on the streets with us, without mobilization of all of you in the range of my voice, it will destroy us. When we talk about the Holocaust, we talk about 4 categories of people: victims, perpetrators, the rescuers/resistors, and bystanders. When we think about the Holocaust in present day or the civil rights movement, we often mythologize ourselves and place ourselves automatically into the position of the hero, of rescuers, of resistors. But in reality, the bystander effect is so fucking strong. Just by being here today, those of you marching with us, those of you that stopped to listen, just by doing that much, you are helping break through that very strong effect. And I am proud of you for that. And you should be proud of yourselves for that. But I need you to leave here, not just patting yourself on the back for being here, but considering the next steps for active resistance. Our crowds must swell. When we stand together, when we make good trouble in these streets, good trouble! When we shout and we cry and we riot for our rights, we will break the mold. We will earn the world we deserve. So today we say, stop the war on women! Stop the war on the queer community! In the name of humanity, we refuse to accept a fascist America!
We won't go back no matter what they say. Your laws we defy, we will not obey. We won't go back no matter what they say. Your laws we defy, we will not obey.
We won't go back, we will not submit. On your sick and twisted handmaid's tale, we spit. Blood on your hands, blood on our sheets. Revolution, take heed, we wail in the streets.
I've been a whore, I've been a wife, I'm in a war for my life. You can call me what you like, I'm the stain on your mind. Clean, 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 the crime scene is made.
It was the support and acceptance of women that made me feel safe to be myself. But 3 years ago, when I started my medical transition, things were getting better. Now, it is largely men that hide behind women's rights that are the reason I now find myself the target of one of the most targeted and focused genocidal campaigns in recent American history. Before November, I was worried. Now I am terrified. The political right has chosen me as their latest sacrificial lamb, casting me and my transgender siblings as a predator, as a threat, and preying on that fear to consolidate power in exactly the same way they have done with every single marginalized demographic that cannot defend itself, that is not the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant male ideal of society since the beginning of time. I am not the first and I will not be the last. On day 1, the Trump administration declared me an enemy of the state. This is not a trans issue. This is not a women's issue. This is a human issue. Only caring about your own rights is how you lose them.
I was in the State Department for 16 years. I was a diplomat. I resigned 21 years ago before many of you all were even born, but I see a few that were about my age at that time. But when we look at people in the State Department who should be resigning because of these policies that the Trump administration has.
Today, the stakes are even higher than they were in the time of the Nazis, because fascism is coming to power in the U.S. the world's most powerful country that has ever existed in history. And it is coming to power. It is consolidating at a time of global climate catastrophe, and as nuclear armed powers are at each other's throats, this fascism threatens the future of humanity. So this brings me to the most important lesson of Nazi Germany. That is, that fascism must be defeated before it is able to consolidate. Fascism must be defeated. It must be driven from power before the terror is fully unleashed, before every institution is transformed, before the millions and millions of people who are not directly targeted themselves or rounded up have allowed themselves to fall into silence and complicity. So there is let me say, complicity means you are guilty of a crime. Doesn't mean you started the crime. It means you were in a position to stop it and you failed to do so, so now you become responsible. And there is one force that is powerful enough to stop the fascism of Trump MAGA. No, it is not Congress. No, it is not the courts. No, it is not the Democratic Party or that so-called mythical, sane Republican who's patriotic. The force that can defeat Trump MAGA fascism is the millions and millions of regular people across this country who hate what he is doing. The decent people of this country who do not want a fascist America. We have got to go out and organize them and mobilize them to stand up in the streets and in every institution in society, not once and go home, but again and again, growing in our numbers and determination, standing together until we create the kind of profound political crisis that sends shockwaves around the world, that creates the situation where Trump cannot govern, cannot impose his program, cannot hold on to the reins of power. This is why I am calling on you to join refusefascism.org today, or partner with us if you're part of an organization already.
Remember the disgusting sound of Trump's voice saying, "Grab them by the pussy"? Well, what we face today is far worse. The threats of shoving women back into the kitchen to bear children and be submissive to men from people like Andrew Tate, Nick Fuentes, and others. But these are not just some rabid bros on the fringe. This is what is being officially made the law with Project 2025. The RevCom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity are working tirelessly every day to bring forward what is required to unleash the fury of women as a mighty force for revolution. The revolutionary leader Bob Avakian has written a constitution, a concrete blueprint for how we can actually bring about that kind of world. And I know that people are so weighed down by not even being allowed to dream about the possibility of what it would feel like to walk down the streets and not being looked at as a piece of fucking meat. But not only is it possible, it is necessary, and that's what we are organizing concretely for. So we invite you to join with the RevCom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity, to dig into the works of the revolutionary leader Bob Avakian, who has brought that forward and has made this question, which in the history of communism has not been given its due attention. This is a breakthrough in the new communism that he has developed. This is a big deal. And we are here to not only share it with you, but to call on you to engage it, to dig into it, and to be part of joining with the RevCom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity.
From Bob Avakian, he says, you can't break all the chains except one. You can't say you want to be free of exploitation and oppression, except you want to keep the oppression of women by men. You can't say you want to liberate humanity, yet keep one half of the people enslaved to the other half. The oppression of women is completely bound up with the division of society into masters and slaves, exploiters and exploited. And the ending of all such conditions is impossible without the complete liberation of women. All this is why women have a tremendous role to play, not only in making revolution, but in making sure there is all the way revolution. The fury of women can and must be fully unleashed as a mighty force for proletarian revolution.
This whole system is rotten and illegitimate. We need and we demand a whole new way to live, a fundamentally different system. When you join with the RevCom Corps, you work to unite all who can be united, to move millions, to stop this fucking Trump MAGA regime before it can consolidate its power. You live by and fight for principles that are about breaking all the chains, and you do it as part of an organized revolutionary force. You work to defend the rights and lives of immigrants and trans people and everybody else who's being targeted by this regime. And you learn about and help spread the work of the revolutionary leader Bob Avakian, who's brought forward a strategy for revolution to emancipate society and developed a new communism to understand and change the world. Now look, I just want to leave you with one thing. Because I got up here, I talked about revolution. Some of y'all might be like, that sounds good, I want to check into that. Others of you might be, well, I got questions about that, Carl, I don't know. And some of you might be, well, I don't want a revolution. Wherever you fall out in that scale of things, one thing we have to be together on is we got to stop this Trump MAGA fascism before they can consolidate their rule.
Women's fury, hear the sound!
Women's fury, hear the sound!
Tear this rotten system down!
Tear this rotten system down!